And ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen,
greetings to you.
Wherever
the Old Tube Radio Network.
For music and the latest news from home and from afar. How the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, perhaps, OTR, especially if you like those glow-in-the-dark tube radios. Citizen band style from 1958 in the creation of the Class D Citizen Radio Service to 1978 when things were going big time with 40 channels, but it turned all solid state. We're going to recreate that 20-year period tonight with some classic radios that you could have heard if you weren't around, or maybe you did hear if you were around on the air. Our radio operators, collectors will be checking in here at 27085 Channel 11 in the Central Valley of California, and we'll have a good time until 10 o'clock tonight, checking in the radios. OTR standing by.
45.
And there is one right now. Let me pull out the Tube Radio check-in list. Hello, Paul. Paul is one of our longtime listeners and a Tube Radio collector who has collections of, well, I would say various models, items of interest. His collection is so large, I never can guess what it is he might be bringing by. So let me stop talking, and he'll tell us what he's got tonight. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, okay. I'm really proud of this one. I've been wanting this radio for a long, long time, and I got it from a guy up around New York. It was pretty good shape, but when I got it home, it did transmit on Channel 11. So I haven't been able to check it in. And thanks to Harvey and Bill at Red Monkey, they found a crystal for me. So it's on the air. And it's a Robin T123 with a magic eye.
One of the popular radios here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We have a few of those around the area. And usually, from what I gather, the operators, especially if they have, say, the 123B or the 240D, like you mentioned, they like the 123 for the very reason it has that magic eye and a very classic appearance. Let me grab a shot of the 123, put it up on the video portion, and everyone will see that it does have that magic eye in the front. You said you picked this up from somewhere in New York, or somebody you knew in New York, over?
Yeah, excuse me, I found it on Facebook, and the guy didn't want a whole lot for it, considering these radios are going for quite a bit. By the way, Bill's got one out there at Red Monkey that I found out about after I bought this one. That's a real nice radio. Somebody wants one of them. Anyway, they're quite a really unique radio. I really like them. They mixed the old with the new, Dennis. You got that modulation monitor with a tube, and they got the 2 circuit boards in the thing, a couple circuit boards in it, 11 tubes, and then the looks of the thing just amazing. And in the ladies, I mean the 70s, that is about, I don't even know what the date is when they made them or how much they even paid for them. Have you got that information?
Let me see if I've got a price point for that radio. No, because it was 23 channels, of course, like you said, 12-volt DC, 115-volt AC, 11 tubes, 2 transistors before the 123B. My guess is was probably in the low $200 range, but I'm not sure. I can tell you that it's in Sam's PhotoFax book 35, page 95, but I bet they wouldn't have a price on it either, over.
Great. You know, I've gone everywhere on the internet. I just haven't gone to the right places to try to find all that information. I found quite a bit on it, but not that, all the crazy things. The pictures of them, that was just about it. They're not really put out on that very long. Anyway, it's a real pretty radio. It's got the SRF modulation. Well, it's the SRF meter, and it's got the modulation tube, which they call the Magic Eye, which is really amazing. It just closes up, and your modulation gets up to what percentage you want it to run at. You can watch it and make the lines inside the tube change by talking in louder or less. You kind of run your own modulation by a tube. It's really strange, but fun. Back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, you got plenty of modulation. You told me, I think I did not write it down. What microphone are you using on the Robin?
Beg your pardon?
What is the microphone that you're using with the Robin tonight? Over.
Yeah, it's a Robin mic. It was made in Japan for Robin. It's a ceramic type, and the model number is MC-20, MC20. I've never seen another mic like this before.
Oh, wow. Is it, I didn't write down the info when you told me the first time. Is it the desk mic or is it a hand mic?
No, it's a green hand mic. It's not almost the same color as the radio, but not quite. But it's got Robin right on the front of it, and it's definitely got the number. It's an MC-20.
Okay, that's great. You have the hand mic, or I say the mobile version of what we're showing. The one in the picture is the desk mic, the Robin desk mic, and it is MT Mike Tango 1. Because I know Cliff has checked in on it a couple times. So you have the other version, or the mobile version of that goes with the radio. So very, very interesting. It sounds good. The audio quality is great. Sounds like the Element is in good shape, and all of that. I don't think I'm looking at the picture there. The 123Bs had the range expand on there, but I don't recall. I don't think the 123 plane does. Is that correct? You don't have a switch to range boost or anything like that, correct?
Sure about the band spread?
Yeah, the model after that had a switch where you could turn on like a range boost or range expand for the audio, but I don't believe you have that with the 123.
No, I don't believe it is either. Yeah, it's like I say, they use a lot of the old and the new on that T240D, Robin. That's a monster. I mean, what they got crammed in there is amazing. And this one is just, it's more or less the same size. Not quite, I don't believe. But it's just so neat, so neat. It's not cluttered, it's just perfect.
No, it is a very pretty radio, and I agree with you. It's whatever you need on the front is there. Was talking with Ed before we started the net on the earlier radios that had the Magic Eye tubes, like the Gonsets and the Robin here that uses the style where you're looking at the front of the tube. The other Magic Eyes, like I was at 6RE13, you're looking at the top of the tube. But for some reason, as things progressed, and we're not sure if it was just they need to get rid of the tube because of the heat, or people just thought, well, it's better to have a modulation light or a meter that shows the modulation or something. But from every operator I've talked to, yourself included, there is something when you're in the driver's seat, having that Magic Eye wink and blink. And I can remember Ed and some of the stations that have them, Mike as well, I think, saying that it almost makes you want to talk more to make the light move, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It's just an amazing radio. I'm going to have to quit talking about it, but it's my favorite radio for the 70s. Let's put it that way. I got a lot of favorite ones back earlier than that. Thanks, Dennis, for checking in. I sure appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing it by and getting us started off here, the Old Tube Radio Network. We're at channel 11-27085 in Central California and beaconing everywhere else at the Google YouTube video hello to you, and at oldtuberadio.net. Paul, our first radio check-in of the evening. We're hoping to get more before we sign out here tonight. And he brought by his Robin T123 with the Magic Eye tube. We are standing by and listening, looking for radio number 2.
Number 7.
And perhaps we indeed have radio number 2. Hello, Mr. Ed.
Uh-oh, doing some weird stuff again. Okay, we'll try the Robin T123 just like the last one.
All right, it made the little song that it does when it keyed up, but it was not doing anything affecting the audio. The Robin T123, so that means you have the winking and blinking eye going on too.
That would be correct. Sitting here looking at the tube, doing its winking and blinking. And yes, we'll actually talk into it and make all kinds of noise just to watch the silly thing.
All right, and I know if Paul is not switching out a radio, he is listening and hearing your T123. I will ask you, he was running the Robin stock microphone mobile version. I'm thinking that you might have some amplification going on in the audio department there.
Oh, that's weird. Yes, it definitely has. There's something weird here to the radio. Anyway, yes, this one has an amplified D104.
Okay, I want to tell people that is not atmospheric conditions. There has been no lightning strike over at the SWL7 residence, but sometimes that radio, because it's checked in before, has some internal little noises that happen that sound like he might be creating a Frankenstein monster. It is doing the tricks tonight, but it is not messing up your audio. But it does sound interesting, over.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see us doing something. We have to definitely do some cleaning on this thing, and I'll listen to the archives and see what it sounds like.
Okay, I may have asked you this before, but can you tell if you're keeping an eye on the Magic Eye tube, and let's say you are not speaking and you know you're not speaking and there's not background noise, can you see some fluctuation on the tube indicating that there is some Frankenstein noise going on?
Yes. In fact, just that time. In fact, I could even hear it. I could hear a weird little bleep in the radio on that one. I don't know what it is.
All right, you're probably hearing what we're hearing. When you key down, it's almost like you have what I used to call the poor man's eagle, when you would put a paper clip or a bobby pin on the D104 key, and when you keyed down, it would go bring. It's sort of doing that, which is cool in a way. And then after that, sometimes you get the crackly, crunchy going on. But it is doing okay. If you don't smell smoke, then I think we are okay. Radio number 2 online with us now, another Robin T123. This one with not the hand microphone and some extra features. Remember what they say, that's a feature, not a failure.
Well, there you go. Well, hopefully it's working on this transmission, and I'll get another tube radio going in just a moment.
It's sounding great. Thanks for Radio 2. On the Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's glowing in the dark. The Jingle Singers are saying it is close to well, hang on. It's close to the top of the hour, but I want to see if we can get maybe another radio in before 9 o'clock here. 27085, oldtuberadio.net, and who knows where else.
Okay, a super quick flip and see if this one's working.
Oh, yeah, that one is working for sure, over.
Okay, first tram for the evening, a tram TR27 Echo.
Nice, clean audio, not as in your face as the Robin. That is to say, not as loud, but it's clean and it gets your attention. It makes a nice little snap when it keys down, and doing a pretty good job. Doing an excellent job, by the way. You are, I'll check the S meter, but I think you're at least 20 over. On the tram, TR27E, I do believe I have a photo of a tram, and if we are lucky, it is the one on which you were talking. So we'll pop that up here as you give us a transmission.
Well, there you go. I know you got the picture of this radio, so I'm sure you'll get that one up. And using the 638 Electro Voice bifurcated head type microphone.
The choice of tube radio operators everywhere, especially if you've got something cool like an old Drake or a Collins. It interfaces, I guess the impedance interfaces well with the tube radio input, audio style input to big radio. It's without having, you know, what do they used to do? Having a pack of cigarettes next to the radio. You might think that's not a large radio, but it is. You can tell just from the S meter, which is probably the largest S meter put on any CB radio, and then you still have a lot of radio around the S meter. So that's a big one. And do they give you a handle? Is there a carrying handle on that thing?
No, there's no carrying handles on it, but it is nice and large. Yeah, that S meter is actually just about the size of a pack of cigarettes.
Okay, well, that's a good reference then, and it's pretty cool. That is something that you would see on a classy Hallicrafters, or a similar size on a classy Hallicrafters, one of their SX series receivers, so it's super cool on that. 1963 was the date of manufacture for that tram series, the TR-27 series. They made a few other models. The E, I believe, was the last and final item. 23 channels. Looks like you can select crystal control on the transmit, obviously, because that was what the FCC said you had to do. But the cool thing is you've got the rotary dial, so you can kind of spin around and go in between channels if you want to listen.
There you go. Good old variable receive and crystal control. Now, the channel selector is kind of strange because it's the smallest knob on there. But, of course, the large one for your tuning.
Okay, if you're, I'm going to use the pointer. If you're watching the video, the large center, that is your receive. In the big window, you rotate the dial. Is the receive done in channel, or is it channel and frequency, or both?
No, just channel. It does show the RC between like 11 and 12.
Okay, and you rotate that around to get your receive frequency. Then if you go below the S meter, as he said, the smaller knob there with the little, I guess that's a little tiny window, and it says crystal or extal channel. So you had to be crystal controlled. So then you match, in theory, you're matching your channel up with your receive. Is there a, I see that red, is that a spot switch? Is that the red knob button there?
Oh, that's correct. Yeah, just the little tiny window there for your transmit says XMIT and CHAN, and then above that is a spot SW for your spot switch, and an XTAL receive for putting a crystal in there for different receive.
All right, boy, lots of stuff. A lot of things you can operate on that, and of course, the spot helps you tune in your receive, because you could turn it to the 11. You know, if you're on channel 11 transmit, you could rotate the thing to where you see 11, if indeed it's even there. It might be 10 or 9 or something. And then look at your, I guess you look at the S meter, max your signal out, and you know at least you're on your frequency. Whatever that might be, whatever your 11 frequency. Let's find out where your 11 frequency is at. Go back to another transmission. We'll find out where you're at.
I think this one's like around 3839, somewhere in there. Not quite on free.
Yeah, and that has some great audio. Those listening in could hear me zero beach in. And was I low? I guess I was listening on a lower side band there. Nice audio. And you are exactly correct. 27.083.9 is where you're at. So when you zero beat, that's where you're putting your receiver. But of course, you move that dial and you can go anywhere. Pretty cool. Actually, it's a nice little feature to have not be locked in on the transmit side. And then, of course, the mystery switch. That maybe nobody knows what that does, but it's there. And it's not supposed to be there, though.
No, that's not supposed to be there. And I know exactly what it does. You tune the radio to channel 1, you flip that switch, and it goes somewhere else.
It goes somewhere else. Probably not the OTR frequency, but maybe when Skip is running. Probably when Skip is running during the day, you will find out where it is going, perhaps below channel 1 or something like that. But we keep it here at 27085 on a Saturday evening, much like a lot of us did back in 1963 when this radio was brand new, and having some fun that way. Radio number 3, the Tram TR-27E, back to you for another transmission. The Jingle Singers are ready to bring us into the second hour of OTR, but let's hear from the Tram once again. Thanks for bringing it by.
Oh, and thank you, and I'll definitely have another radio or two ready to go after the Jingle Singers.
And you're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. I wanted to mention, because a lot of the stations that check in are not only radioactive here on 11 meters, but they also have their ham radio operator licenses. That's kind of a fun thing to do when things get a little bit slow on the 11 meter side, to be able to SWL and maybe even take a transmission on the amateur radio side. For those of you in the local area here who are thinking about upgrading or maybe getting your first license, the Clovis Amateur Radio Pioneers are offering a series of classes to help you get your amateur radio license. They're looking for the first level license class to help prepare you to take amateur radio. So they're giving some technician classes. We'll talk about what the ARRL is suggesting the FCC do with the technician licenses, maybe giving them some more voice privileges. So now would be a great time to, if you haven't done it, to think about getting that entry-level license, because it's very possible. I haven't read the article yet to know what they're talking about. It's very possible you will have some extra frequencies and things of that nature. It says it's the first level license class designed to help prepare you to take the amateur radio FCC exam. The class is not mandatory, but is a great way to learn for the exam and hear real-world experience. You have instructors in the class that are operators and will help you with your questions. It says some homework will be required as to help prepare students for the tests and also shorten the number of hours in class. The class dates are Saturday, April 14th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday, April 21st from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday, April 28th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Exams will be held the last day of class. So you might be able to walk out of there with your knowledge that the FCC will be sending you a ticket in the mail. The location is the Police Science Institute Range Pistol Club. I don't know where that is. It's at 5133 North Gates in Fresno. It's out there in northwest Fresno. I think that's up above near Shaw Avenue. But the Police Science Institute. You can find more information if you go to www.k6arp.org. That's the call for the Clovis Amateur Radio Pioneers. So check it out there for those of you thinking about jumping into and it's fun. I've had my license since 1984, and you will not regret it. Well, you might regret it in the fact that you might want to spend some money you don't have to buy radios, but you don't have to do that. You can make the antennas. You can make an antenna out of wire, so you can save some money that way. And maybe you want to build a radio. There is some cool radios now from HF Signals that cost like $100, and you can put them together and get on the air with sideband. So think about that. All right, I've been taking a too long transmission here. Let me stop talking. We will be listening for your radio check-ins here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Contact.
The contact, this is your Old Tube Radio Network. Go ahead. I think that was SWL70. I think that's who that was.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think somebody came in with me, too. I wasn't sure if you heard me or not. Hello, Dennis. Yes, 70 checking in. Yeah, the Police Science Institute is on Gates behind, the Walmart. Anyhow, it's just west of the CHP office there. Yeah, it's over on Shaw and Golden State over in that area. But anyhow, requesting a check-in, sir. Jennifer.
Yeah, let's see. There's a Costco and a Winco or something up that way, too. So, like you said, up near 99 and Shaw Avenue. By the tracks. It's always by the tracks. And SWL70, Mark is checking in. He is also a licensed radio amateur who has found some of the fun items can be, what is it, Mark? Going portable with just the tiniest of radios and battery power and antennas and seeing what you can do, right?
Yeah, the QRP thing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't do it near as much as I would like to, but, and you know, I've got some the little KX2 and stuff, and I think KX3, but there's so much stuff now on eBay and other, Amazon, where you can buy these little, QRP radio kits for
I don't know, 20 bucks, 10 bucks, 30 bucks. Some of them might be just really limited on what bands or what frequencies, but I mean, if you want to get into it and play around, yeah, there's stuff available all over out there. And like you say, antennas, just go online and you can see how to make your antenna.
Yeah, cool stuff. Now is a great time to do it. We are in the bottom of cycle, 25 is coming up, bottom of 24, end of 24, start of 25, meaning that from like right now for the next 5, 6, 7 years, the bands are slowly going to progress and be getting better so that if you do have QRP power, you will be guaranteed to make some contacts. So great time to get your license, start your station, build your antennas, and have some fun, because you will know when we start checking in radios at 8 p.m. in a couple years from now, and we don't hear anybody because the band is full of DX stations. So maybe in that couple of years we get enough people licensed, we'll do some AM. Maybe we'll go up to 10 meter up in the AM window and look for a lot of our stations that are over at oldtuberadio.net that we can't hear from New York and Wisconsin and Florida, and be talking to you guys up on the AM side. So it should be fun. Thanks, Mark, for checking in. And there was another station out there. I will stand by for you.
45.
45. Let me go back over to the radio list. And Paul, I do believe you might have a radio number 4, over.
Yeah, I sure do. Going to stay with the Robins tonight. This is my Robin T123B, Bravo.
All right, working chronologically as Paul often does. Were you a librarian at one time? You always go in perfect order, and that helps out Net Controller too when I'm checking things in and finding the radio. So up to, and I think it was probably 1972, the Robin T123 was around, and they came out with the 123B. The radio we'll be showing here on the video in just a moment, and the radio that you will be hearing as soon as we go back to Paul. Hello, radio.
Yeah, okay. This is sitting right by my 123, and my word, this thing's got 13 knobs and lights and a pretty good sized meter, well, about the same size, in different colors on the thing. It's like a Christmas tree up here. Lights flash and everything. Quite a change from the 123. But this is not a hybrid. This still was a tuber. I got a hybrid, a home formant up here that we'll bring on later on. And that'd be my Robins for the evening. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, this was still 23 channels, 1972 to 1976, a real popular seller. This was based on the, I'm going to say it was based on the Panasonic chassis that came out of Japan. There were some other radios that used this style with the range boost. I can't remember if they were plate modulated or not, but this, like the 123, the 123B, a very pretty radio with the green motif, the green inserts on the knobs, and like you said, they gave you some more lights to look at. They took away the magic eye, but in replacing that, a receive light, a transmit light, this one is external speaker. Anyway, there's modulation lights, a PA switch, and this does have the range boost circuitry that allowed you to run your stock microphone, but give yourself a little bit more boost in the audio by flipping that switch over.
Yes, very much so. I don't know what's wrong with my voice now. This thing is set up for mobile, really set up for mobile use. I got brackets on most of these. They're heavy-duty brackets. They're not like the 123. I don't know how you put a mobile loud on the 123. Boy, you sure hate to drill the thing. But anyway, other than that, I've had this thing, I don't know how many years I've had it. It belonged to a friend of mine. He bought it brand new, and he gave it to me. It's been through a few capacitors and everything else. But you know what? It's still hanging in there. Back to you.
It sounds great. Nice audio, nice and clear. You're at about S8. I'm like 90% full quieting, but really not a problem. Armchair copy, as the guys would say on 75 meter AM. It has 11 tubes, 2 transistors. It will go 12 volt DC, as Paul was saying, and I think I'm looking at the picture here. on some type of a bracket. I'm going to say that's the mobile mount, but it is definitely hefty. This one is on the bottom, raising the radio up, but I would imagine you can mount it, turn it around and mount it the other way. If you are interested, anyone interested, at oldtuberadio.com, there is, looks like an accessible, I don't know if it's downloadable, but an operator's manual for that and a schematic. So if you find yourself picking one up at the local yard sale or on eBay and they don't have any paperwork with it, you can get all of that here at oldtuberadio.com. A good 4-year run for that radio, and the only thing that made Robin stop doing it was 40 channels happened. And all those poor 23-channel radios became obsolete in one fell swoop. Sounding good here in 2018. Radio number 4, we'll go back to you, Paul, for the second in the trio of Robins, the 123, the 123B, and then their 40-channel version, the 240D, which it sounds like we might hear a few tonight. So give us another transmission, and again, thanks for bringing it by. It's sounding good.
The thing about this in there, I don't have a stock mic for it. If I did, it's gone. It might be around something. I don't know if it's 550. So I'm running a TMD 107 static on this thing. It's a power mic, but I got it turned way down. So it should be just about normal sounding. That's about it, Dennis. Thanks for listening.
Okay, yeah, before you go, I didn't know that. You could probably, for the amount of signal you have, if you wanted to add a little bit more, unless you have it set for the range boost, I don't know whether you have the range expand on or off, you could probably go ahead and introduce a little bit more gain into your amplified microphone or turn on the range expand and still be A-OK in the audio department.
Okay. Well, if I stop, well, we have a minute. I don't think we're real busy. I probably will later on. I turned the range boost on. How's that sound?
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Your audio came up and then it went way down. So I'm assuming that you will run better. It definitely goes down with it off. You definitely want with the way you have the microphonium adjusted, you want to have the range boost on. Over.
Yeah. Well, I'm just using this poor thing by running this mic on the thing. If I had it handy, so I just wired it into it. So I should probably try to find this stand and stop mic when I get on it. How many people the microphone? By the way, you don't know the price of these things. Do you still listen?
Okay, come back again. Your audio has dropped off severely, so I'm thinking maybe the range boost switch didn't engage when you turned it back on. Try flipping that range boost switch again because your audio has dropped out considerably. No, actually, it's pretty weak. Maybe we shouldn't have suggested playing with the switches. The audio is there. It's just weak, and I'm sure we should be able to get it back.
Okay, how's that?
That is more better. Over.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. You got to turn the different little things in there, the mic, the power mic, and everything. So we don't need that on here, like I said. I hope that brought it in a little bit better.
No, it's good. In fact, I'm looking up the S meter and I'm seeing forward movement the way it should be. So it's working good now.
Okay, I'll back off a little bit. It's probably make it even better. Anyway, thanks for checking in, Dennis. I hope we hear some more robins tonight.
Robins are doing good so far tonight. Thanks for your Robin T123 Bravo at 909. You know what I haven't done? I haven't jumped over
for
to
your
Robin T. We don't need to hear me. We just jumped over and see who's checking the video tonight. Oh, Crazy Bob, who runs at least one, I'm going to say, or two Facebook pages for vintage radios. He has the greatest QSL card collection I have ever seen. Crazy Bob DJ is out there waving a hand tonight on the video side. It's called Antique CB Radio Pre-1977, the new Facebook group. Antique CB Radio Pre-1977, which is exactly what we do here. So if anybody is in the Facebook mode, you might dial that one up and mention OTR. I don't know. Sometimes the page operators have to approve you to come in on some of these groups, but if you mention that you listen to OTR Crazy Bob will get you in right away, and you will not be sorry, because they have some great posts of the radios, the early stuff, the SWL cards. It's really, really cool. Also, the mighty KUH, Brian, listening in from his Radio Shack that includes things from the 21st century and those great radios from the 20th century. Brian in over there on the east side of town. Hello to John listening in Iowa, the mighty JW, Juliet Whiskey, 73 to you, John, and Mr. Ed also watching in on the video. So glad to have everybody along tonight. We're doing a great job with the radios, our tube radio operators, trying to find some cool stuff for us before we sign out of here. OTR is listening.
Number 7.
And hello, number 7 with Radio 5.
Well, this one is from E.F. Johnson, the Messenger 223.
All right, Messenger 223. You know how I haven't seen in tonight for a while is Radio Ham Guy. That's Larry, who is out of Minnesota and actually worked at the E.F. Johnson factory. So any of the E.F. Johnson fans tonight will enjoy Minnesota and actually our next radio. Let's get rid of at the E.F. Johnson factory. Hang on. We've got somebody talking here. One of me is enough. All right. Sorry about that. Give us a transmission, and I'll find a photo of that radio.
Oh, there we go. This one's been modified slightly. Has blue LEDs in the lights for the S meter and channel selector, and the little metal pieces that were inside the knobs are now replaced with buffalo nickels. That, and I have the Silver Eagle D104 attached because I did not get the original microphone with the radio. Of course, I only got it for like $35, so I can't complain.
So when you key down with that radio, not only can you give your 2 cents worth, but you can kind of give your 5 cents worth.
And yes, actually being 3, I can give 15 cents worth, so I can give you a big dose.
It gives a new meaning to the old double nickel.
There you go. Of course, on this one, it's a triple nickel. So there you go.
And those of you might have to look up your CB lingo for a double nickel. Who is it? I don't know the is it Cletus? It might be Cletus Maggard had a CB record called CB lingo, and he describes everything in about 3 minutes on how to talk on the CB radio. I'll have to find that somewhere. I don't think I can. Because of copyright issues, I wouldn't be able to play it on here, so maybe it wouldn't be that fun. But I always got a kick out of that radio, or out of that song, as he described how you might talk on your CB radio. We just like to talk the way they talked back in the day, right? Before, when you'd say 10-4, and what was it? I'm going to be 10-8, and you're 10-10, and what's your 10-20, and all that. I've forgotten I used to have the chart. I admit, when I had my Realistic Navajo back in 1970, I had my big 10 code chart sitting next to the radio, so I wouldn't sound dumb.
Yes, used to have the 1010 code myself. Oh my God, that's going back a few years. Yeah, in fact, my dad, before we took a trip out to Texas back in the early 70s, went and got a book on CB lingo. Man, lingo. I wish I still had it. It may be still buried somewhere around. That would be something to go through just for laughs.
Indeed. Boy, the audio sounds great on your E.F. Johnson. Yeah, back then they would have a lot of business. We still had business, people using the radios for business up on Channel 12. And they would say 1019 going to base, and they would use 10 codes. And I had to look up on the chart because they were weird. They weren't like the 10-8, 10-10, 10-4. They were using the actual 10 codes to say I'm going back to the base, or I'm picking up potato chips, or whatever it was. So I used to have to decipher what they were doing. It's pretty cool. Radio 5, we're talking with Ed on his E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, a radio that was produced from 1969 to 1972. The 223 was the big version. I guess the final version here. Well, here's another trio, like the Robin 123, 123B, 240D. There was the Viking Messenger, Whiteface, the Messenger 2 Blackface, and this was the third in line, the Messenger 223, which was basically a blackface with S-meter and all 23 channels. So a cool radio. It sold really well for E.F. Johnson, and I think what they did is they went solid state after that with some of the other, like the 250s and the 323 mobiles, but a really good seller for them at around $200. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by. Sounds great.
Oh, thank you much. It's always a pleasure to get out here on OTR, and I think I've got at least one more to go.
All right, we've got plenty of space on the radio list tonight. I think the weather has subsided. I can't really see outside. You can see behind me that the flora and fauna is not blowing wildly, so I think the wind has died down. The receive, as you're hearing, and we don't hear a lot of static crashes going on, so it could be a cool item of interest. Let me see. Who else is out there I'd like to check into the Old Tube Radio Network?
Break OTR.
Break OTR, go ahead, please.
SWL40, just checking in.
All right, on the AM side, you know, I heard you on the FM side, and I guess I was chatting too much here to actually check you in at that time, but we'll make it official here on the big board as you beacon across the universe at oldtuberadio.net. Thank you, Larry, for checking in.
You know, I went to the Red Monkey thing, and no one was there.
You know, I was ready to go, and then I had one of those things come up that's like you have to, that says, oh, I have to do this now. And by the time I was doing this now, by the time I got done with this now, it was afternoon. And so I figured, no, wouldn't be anybody there. But as Bill mentioned, the shop will be open next week for people to wander in and see all the goodies that they perhaps couldn't take a look at today.
Okay, but I did get a chance to see Curly and Arnheimer, so that was good.
Oh my gosh! Okay, there is a blast, a name of blast from the past.
Yep, fun stuff.
Indeed. All right, thank you for checking in. Also, while we got the SWL list here, I want to check in SWL 85 from oldtuberadio.net. That is John out there. Let me find the page. I think you're on page 4. Yeah, John out there in Reedley. Thanks, John. And also, John Lee saying hello and talking about the Johnson Messenger just moments ago, the white face, the Messenger 2, blackface. He has fired them up about a month ago. He's also got the HW, the Hot Water 101 Heath Kit. I have a DX40. I never had the HW 101. I think that was a little bit better than the DX40. That was my novice rig. He's got it to receive and still working to get decent watts out of the 101. I can't remember if that's CW and phone. I'll have to find out a picture. And oh yeah, Radio Ham Guy Larry, just north of John there in Minnesota. I see his videos. He came out with he had a new video not too long ago. But Radio Ham Guy, look him up on YouTube. He actually has a video of, if it's not the 223, I think it is the 223. Maybe that's yours, John. He was fixing up somebody's 223. And he goes through that, but he also has some good amateur radio videos as well. That's Radio Ham Guy, Larry, up there in Minnesota. Anyway, thanks, John, out there near Waldorf University for letting us know about the Messenger 1. Great radios. They're built like a tank. They're like the Brownings. It's really hard to mess them up. We are looking for, the Jingle Singers say, let's talk about the friendly place to be, and after the Jingle Singers, we will be listening for radio check-ins.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And what's the 1036?
1036. Oh, it's 1036. I don't have my code, but I think I remember that. The 1036 is In UTC 5:25, and in our old tube radio time, that would be 9:25.
10-9? Break.
10-9. I forgot about 10-9. Oh, man. The good old 10 code. Hello, Chris.
10-8 and smoking.
10-8. Well, back in the day, we used to say we're 10-8 and 10-10. Now, 10-10 meant you were monitoring. It was one of those things that's like, well, why be both? You can be 10-8 or 10-10. One was you were listening but not calling, or when you were ready for a call. It was weird. It's like you really only need to be one of those to be, technically speaking, right? I bet you have Radio 6 for us.
Yeah, but it's got more tubes than 6, though.
Yeah. If it had 7, I would know which radio it is, but I can tell by the audio that it is not the 7-tube radio.
No, this ain't 7 tubes. I think this got 11 or 9. I don't even remember now, and I'm looking right at it, and I can't see all of them inside. So, anyway, can I check it in?
You may check it in. We have reserved radio spot number 6 for you. Over.
Okay, well, I'd like to be 6 again. But anyway, this is my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A, 24-channel version of this in here with a non-amplified stock microphone. Over.
Oh, non-amplified microphonium. Well, there's 11 on that radio somewhere, and it is in the title, the Super MC11A. Let's see how close you came. You were correct when you said, if you said 9 tubes, which you did, you are correct, 9-tube radio. There were a couple of transistors in there as well. One of the tubes being the infamous ECLL800 and the modulator output that makes it so you don't need an amplified microphone to sound bodacious, like to sound 10-8 like you do, or 10-2. Actually, 10-2, 10-9. Was 10-2 the opposite of 10-9, right?
10-2, 10-1. 10-100, I'll be back. No, sorry about that. 10-200? Anyway, no, I don't remember.
Well, anyway, you are definitely a 10-8 and smoking. We go with the pre-1973 10 code lingo here on a Saturday night. Great sounding audio as always. You have, Harvey has let us know there was a way to strap that radio, strapping meaning that you could, I'm going to say put it into business band mode. That might not be the correct way to say it, but there was a plug in the back. If you put the plug in and had the right jumpers, the radio would magically go a little bit more than the 5-watt or 4-watt output. However, you sacrifice a little bit in the audio department. So I would say, however you're doing it, you're doing it great, because you got plenty of audio and plenty of signal. Over.
Well, one of these days I'm going to throw my JB12 on the backside. No, I'm not kidding you. I'd probably burn up the JB12.
Yeah, sometimes they didn't want to see a lot of input, but again, you might find, and we would have it recorded, that your audio, even though your signal might be better, your audio wouldn't sound as good. And since we are local, and you're already S9 plus, I think, without any Harvey range boost items, you don't need to do that. General radio telephone, the Super MC11A. There was an MC11, 11A, and then the 12 came out, which I don't believe was type accepted. More information if you've got a Sam's PhotoFax, volume 22, page 45, or maybe you just want to hear how it sounds, and Chris will help us out with that.
Yeah, excuse me, I had you on tired. But anyway, yeah, this was mine, and it does work. It really does. Just listen to it. Yeah, it's working.
It works great. It's sounding good for Radio 6 here on the old Tube Radio Network, and we're glad you brought it by to share in the mix tonight.
You bet she does. Yeah, I'll be back. I got to turn on some more.
All right, sounding good, and we are looking for Radio 7.
Number 7?
Number 7, meaning SWL7. When I write you down in the box, I see that it is a number 7, and we are at 9 Oh, well, I was trying to get another 7 in there, but officially at 9:31, over.
There we go. Oh, I think I heard something just when I keyed up. May have to check for somebody out there. Yes, this is the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB.
All right, and that was Paul, I believe, 45. Don't go away, Paul. Step up into the green room, and we will get you for radio number 8. I can't even read my writing, but I wrote Browning before I threw my pen away. Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. The reason they're all Mark IIIs, but the reason we always say SSB is because the Browning is a 2-piece radio, a receiver, which didn't change. The receiver was the receiver, but you would pair it with the Mark III series of transmitters, one being an AM-only transmitter, a little smaller, and the other being the AM and sideband transmitter, so that's where the SSB comes in. So we'll go over to you for transmission on the Mark III SSB, over.
There you go. Yep, this one has both the large items, takes up quite a little bit of desk space there. You need to have about 32 inches in order to hold the radio.
If you put them side by side, which personally I think is probably a preferred mode just because of the convection cooling, and you're not heating up one of the components, the picture I have, which actually is nice because it fits my little old-style 3x4 video format, we have the radios stacked. Let me see how well I know my Brownings. The transmitter being on the bottom because the receiver has the big on-the-air light flying Golden Eagle, and that's one way you can do it to save a little bit of radio real estate. But I agree with that. I think stacked side by side is the way to go. Have you ever tried? Let's talk about the sideband. Have you ever tried to run that radio's sideband much at all?
Yes, as a matter of fact, quite a few years back there, the OTR, we had Friday nights there for a little while. We were running sideband on Channel 11, and yep, I use this one. And it's a little bit finicky on receiving and adjusting for people because not everybody's radio was quite on, and this one dial's a little sensitive, but it works just fine.
Yeah, that's sort of a sore spot. The FCC, in their wisdom, when they allowed, I don't know if they never didn't allow, but they started sideband. They didn't allow the radios to be more than 700 cycles off of the crystal-controlled frequency. And anybody who runs sideband knows when you have more than 2 people, it really would be a good idea to get everybody on the same frequency. Now, your receiver can tune one of those multiple stations dead on. But unless all the transmitters, you say, okay, you're the net frequency control and we'll all tune to you. However, let's cut to the radio that we're talking with here, Mr. Ed's Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. They, in their infinite wisdom, put a control on the transmitter that allowed you to move the frequency, the crystallized frequency, plus or minus, I want to say 700 cycles, which was allowable by the FCC. So I believe they got it type accepted because you were not changing your frequency more than the 700 cycles allowable, but they allowed you to actually adjust it, meaning that if everybody on the sideband frequency was running a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB with a fairly decent crystal, you could all get kind of tuned in and tweaked to the same frequency, and it would be a glorious thing. But that didn't happen all that much, over.
Well, you got that right. It didn't happen very often at all. So a little bit of chasing around and dialing things around so everybody would get it to work, but it actually worked out fairly well, and I used to have fun doing that. Kind of missed doing the old sideband on his Browning.
Yeah, what Ed was talking about, and this might be as long as 10 years ago, and I think Kevin, SWL2, was sort of heading that up when he was able to do so. The Friday nights on this channel, we brought out the old tube. If you had them, you could obviously not use an old tube radio, but anybody who wanted to try their tube radios that had sideband capabilities, we kind of made a forum to do that. And like Ed said, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun chasing all the stations around, trying to see who was far enough off frequency that we would make them net control and then try to tune to them. Radio 7, SWL7, and it's Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Did I mention that radio reared its eagle head in 1972 and went like the Robins? The T123B went to 1976 when went to 40 channels, and then the Mark IV came out. Not for the faint of heart, and also not for anybody who didn't have about $750 in the day, although a lot of the dealers would work with you on monthly payments. So they actually sold a lot of those $750 radios. Back to you for transmission. It always sounds good. Thanks for bringing it by on the Old Tube Radio Network.
There we go. Oh, and this one, like the one you have pictured there, also has the Golden Eagle limited edition gold-plated D104.
Good deal. I was reading on one of the Facebook pages, they were talking about that microphone. There's one that has the BL logo on the back, and it came from Browning Laboratories. It wasn't an applique. It was actually etched in or part of the metal. And I think somebody had a price sheet. The original price on those things were less than $40, and they're way more than that now. But some interesting information. Again, some of these Facebook pages and the one that Crazy Bob is working have a lot of information and a lot of people frequenting the sites that can help you with that information. So if you are a Facebook type kind of, you like to do that, don't be afraid to check out some of the vintage CB sites and get some information on the radios. Of course, always come back to the Old Tube Radio Network here on Saturdays to actually hear them on the air. Get an idea like, boy, that radio sounds great. And then when you see one for sale, you can say, yeah, that's what I want because it sounds great. Thank you. Speaking about sounding great, now there's a seg for you. Let's go over to the Studio B and the Old Tube Radio Jingle Singers.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Fresno, California, the Old Tube Radio Network. Let me also wave a hand to Arlen. Did I get you checked in, Arlen? I think I'm SW113, yes, out there in Schofield. Is that what it is? Schofield. I probably mispronounced that, but out there in Wisconsin. Thank you, Arlen. We got you checked in. Yes, what time is it? He knows what 1036 is. Also, the Timtron out there in the Pacific Northwest in Charlie, November 85, CN 85. We are, I'll give you a point, Tim. I'll give you a point from Delta Mike 06, DM06. DM06 is where we are here in Fresno, California. And is there a contest going on? I don't know. I take that back. There's always a contest going on. Not sure if there's a VHF contest going on at the moment. We are looking for radio number 8.
Number 8.
Okay, and you know what? Radio number 8 is actually Paul. I would say I didn't forget about you, but I actually did. But you did not go away. And then Radio 9 will be Chris, SWL 37. So, Paul, thanks for hanging in there and letting me babble on too much. You know how it is. I get excited about these tube radios. Hello, 45.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll have that problem myself, Dennis. No problem. Anyway, I want to check in this T240D, second dog.
And Paul is giving us the Radio 3, the third radio in the popular Robin trilogy that started 1970, went through 1976, and then at 1976, the 40-channel version. Basically, what happened was Panasonic updated their chassis, which I think was more easy to do because they weren't having to crystal control everything. And they came out with the Yellow Bird, the T240D, a very nice-looking radio. We'll get a shot of it as we go back to your transmission, Paul. Over.
Yeah, they got all kinds of names for this thing. I forget if it's orange or yellow zonker or something like that. But everybody's got a little name for it. It's a yellow radio. And it's got the same front end, all looking almost the same as the other one I just had in, the one earlier. But when you look up, you turn it on, you see something glowing red up there, and you find out it's more than a radio inside. It's got a digital readout in the thing as you change the channels. It reads all the way around, so it's definitely a hybrid. Very nice looking radio. Like I say, the same front end, except they change where the numbers are for the channels. They change it around a little bit. That's it. Panasonic did a good job on it. Back to you.
Yeah, nice audio as well. We have a shot where you're looking right at the corner of the radio. You can actually see the range expand knob and all the various lights and exactly what Paul was describing there in the window, the digital display where you could go up to 40 channels. Now, those of us who were around back in 74, 75, 76, before the FCC banged the gavel and said, yes, we'll make it official, knew that a lot of you, I'm leaving myself out of this one, a lot of you were out there with the Siltronic VFOs and the PAL VFOs and the modifications, and we're running up on those channels already. But the FCC said, no, we'll make it legal, and you've got to be crystal controlled and do it the right way. But by 1977, it was sort of a free-for-all anyway. But the radios came out. They were popular. This was one of them, and one of the last tube radios, and, of course, one of the few 40-channel tube radios as well. It's sounding good. I'm going to give you a frequency check the next time around, so give us a transmission.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, I hope you had time to get the thing in right. I'll put on there. Did you have enough time?
Yeah, you're right on. 85.3. 85. Well, actually, it was 2 something. So very, very close. Not a problem with that one at all.
Okay, I thought it was close. That's good. Well, there's not a whole much as I've had 3 object in, and they're just, as things got, on the tubes where the people were getting solid state radios there, and this is right at the end of them right there. Classy radio, they had the right idea, but they're just a little late. That's all I can say about it. Anyway, that's about it, Dennis. Thanks for checking it in.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. The Old Tube Radio Network. We have been on the air on Saturday nights here in Central California, 27085, since the mid-1980s, when we just, a couple of us got together, getting away from the hate and discontent on other frequencies, and said, we've got some great radios. Let's go to Channel 11 and talk about our radios, and it has grown from there. A lot of great collections. 1985, that was before the days of eBay, so you had to either have the radio or maybe, get a cool tube radio from your Uncle Fred, or frequent yard sales, which at the time you could do pretty well finding a good deal on an old tube CB radio that someone didn't want. Then with eBay, it became a little bit easier to find the radios, but you had a lot more competition trying to buy them and actually get them delivered to your QTH in one piece. But in that 30-plus years, we have checked in a lot of radios. We have a lot of great operators and collections of 1, collections of 31, but we appreciate all of you who stop by, take time out of your Saturday evening activities, sneak away from whatever's you're supposed to be doing, jump into the Radio Shack and share the tube radios with us. Doing that right now for Radio 9 is Christopher, SWL37. Hello.
Hello, Dennis. I'm back in the radio. Anyway, I want to check in this great big one here. This is a huge radio, 7 tubes, man. The biggest one I got. Yeah, almost. Anyway, I want to check in my Citizen Little Phone helicopter model CB3A. This one here is totally stock with the original handheld carbon-type stock microphone.
Halocrafters making the jump with no problem from, well, they did a lot of stuff. Amateur radio, shortwave receivers, getting into the 11-meter Class D mix with radios in that style, this being one of the series, early 1963, late 1962, the Little Phone series, the CB3A. Sounding good on your carbon microphone, over.
Well, thank you. That's what I need to know. If it sounded good or if it's even working, that's even better.
It is. It's working great. That one usually keys up without a problem. I don't think you have to. Maybe the microphonium you have to, hit it a few times to get those carbon elements to not pack up. But the radio itself seems to do quite well.
That's all that counts.
Well, on a tube radio kind of Saturday, it counts if we can hear it. 1963, you could pick those up for about $160 at your local electronic stores back in the day. And as Chris mentioned, they did it all with just 7 tubes. There is a schematic available if you go to oldtuberadio.com. And the guy that started the company back in 1932, William J. Halligan, would probably be proud to hear that one. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
Okay, Dennis. Well, I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to try to turn on another one.
All right. We are here for another 10 minutes or so, checking in radios, as we always do on a Saturday evening, the Old Tube Radio Network listening.
Hey, real quick, Dennis, as a side note for that Browning Mark III, back in 72, they were, $700, and if you inflation calculate it to today, it would turn out being $4,169.
Wow, I know that was a pretty decent chunk of change. Typically what you do is thanks for that, you look at the minimum wage. So the minimum wage in 1972, I think actually it was $1.65 or $1.85. So you realize that at $2 an hour, and you work a 40-hour week, you're making $80 a week. Times 4 is $320. So it would take over 2 months of pay. So, yeah, not everybody got those radios, right?
Yeah, that would definitely put a dent in your finances. I've got a thing with, calculating back, and I run it through the inflation calculator, and I'm thinking, okay. And then they said if you want to really psychoanalyze it and you run it backwards, okay, you say $700 as of today, run it back to 72, and it would have been $116. So, yeah, $700 back then was a big deal. And the driving force to me having one of these was my dad, because he was always got to have the best of everything, whatever it is. And I remember seeing this on his desk with his banana microphone, and I know that he always wanted the best, so he had it and had the Browning mobiles, and big money, man. So you calculate that to now. If you want to look at, say, just off top of my head, like an FT5000 Yaesu, now you're talking that price range. You're talking, almost a $5,000 ham rig. So, yeah, they're big money, man, for what they are. And like you said, they're not for the faint of heart. Because they take a little bit of finessing to get them dialed in and have them running good all the time. But, that's the whole game about playing with it.
Okay, and Breaker acknowledged, and you are right. At that price, at that time, they were right up there with some of the amateur rigs. The 101 series was around. You probably still get some Drake radios and the Kenwood twins. So you had to want it, and a lot of the radio electronic shops would help you out with financing as well. So if you could convince the XYL that that it looked cool on the in the living room, I suppose you could get one. You get them interested. I've talked to many a family on radio nights, back in the day, and many families sitting around the radios talking on the Browning Eagles. By the way, I have checked your radio in that we just heard a great transmission from as a radio number 10. Hang on one. I think we've got a quick break that wants to get in. Who is the breaking station?
24.
All right. Yeah, I thought that was you, Joseph. I want to make sure I get you before you're like heading this way or heading that way. And we appreciate our SWLs, our shortwave listeners, because at one time or another, we all become SWLs. So we got to make sure that they are doing it out there. Thanks, Joseph. And yeah, Jerry, you are in with Radio 10. You got us into double digits with that one.
No problem. I didn't really look at it that way, but that's fine. That works for me. But yeah, they're definitely a nice radio, man, and this is one I'll take to the grave, that's for sure. All right, Dennis, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
37 and 50.
All right, we got 37, and then we'll head up the road to SWL 50. Radio 11 is what you've got for us, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, I probably made 11. Okay, well, yeah, it's working. I would like to check in my pretty blue radio. I want to check in my G PowerMate, the Gem Marine Products, 23 channel tuner goes in the dark. With this in here, I'm running this here with the amplified D104 Lollipop. Over.
Doing a good job. I believe we were talking about the Robin T123B, and this is that Panasonic chassis that I believe Robin was using for the 23B in a different form, but instead of being green or yellow, this one is a blue radio, but it has great audio, as it should. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Well, this was mine too, and I'm going to get off just in here just a second and change microphones and fire up another one and put a coax on it.
All right, we'll let you do that. The weather has sort of cleared away. I was a little worried when we started this that a lot of people wouldn't be able to connect the coax up out of safety issues, but things have been going pretty good, and we've done a good job tonight. All right, thanks for bringing by Radio 11, the Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. And Chris is going to give us another one, but in the meantime, I think we might have Radio 12, and we'll head over to Mark, SWL 50. Over.
That will be correct. And once again, we'll check in the Lafayette Comstat 25B with a silver base amplified D104.
All right, the Lafayette Comstat 25B. I remember that. I'll have to admit, I forgot that from last week, and then as soon as you keyed up, and I heard that audio, I said, oh, yeah. It's not a buddy bass. It's not a tram. It's the 25B, which may also be one of the infamous Panasonic chassis, but I don't know if it's exactly the one that Robin used. But boy, does it have some nice audio. We have a great stealthy picture courtesy of Mr. Green Arrow. He's got it perfectly done in a low lighting situation. As you know, because you're sitting in front of it, but a lot of our viewers and listeners don't know, the radio has sort of this very modern, for 1970, blacked out dial. So when you turn that thing off, when it's not on, it's sitting there and you can't really see that there's an S meter and a dial and all that, right?
Yeah, it's pretty blacked out. Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly how many configurations of this chassis. I've seen a lot of them over the past 10 years, but there's a lot of these Panasonic chassis out there.
That one sounds doing a good job. The 25B, definitely different than the 25A. Back 30, 25 years ago, we have a lot of Lafayettes checking in, and now I don't know where they all went. I know they're still out there, so it's always nice to have the Lafayettes come in because often they were the most heard manufacturer. So you've got the Lafayette aficionados on the board here tonight, Mark. Radio 12 sounding good. We'll go back to you for transmission, and thanks for beaconing down to the Flatlands here tonight.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, of course, somebody
put a 40-channel selector in here, so stretch that out a little bit. But anyway, thanks for letting me check it in. 37.
All right, and 37, and John Lee has correctly mentioned that he hasn't seen any Pierce Simpson radios tonight. We did, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did pretty good. I actually have one. I will fess up to the Virginia station that somewhere in the Radio Shack back here is a Pierce Simpson Guardian 23 that indeed I used as a net control station for some time. So I guess if I'm ever on the other side of the net control side, I will plummet our net control operator with a Pierce Simpson tube style anyway. So we'll see what that goes. And we've got plenty more weeks here in 2018, John Lee. So we'll see what we can do. Lucky Radio 13. Hello, Chris.
And hello again, Dennis. Well, this here's the one with the blinking lights, with all the darn knobs, even the hidden ones in the back. This is my Courier Royale 23-channel tuber. Glows in the dark with the blinking lights, as I said, and all the knobs. And we are running this in here with the amplified D104 Lollipop.
Perfect match. No need to add any more audio. I'm going to try something here on the fly for a picture. It may not work. Let's see if it blows up. Nope, it did. Okay, it's there. There is the Courier Royale. Not a great picture because it's small, but the reason it's small is they are on top of the Courier Royale is it Chivas Regal? Is that the name of the beverage? I'll call it that for lack of everything else that goes with it. It's got the matching colors, but somebody has figured out the best way to run that radio, perhaps, is maybe with a little cap full of some of that liquid to go with it. I'll take Ovaltine, but give us another transmission.
It is also Royal Crown by Seagram 7. That one there, it with the blue casing and everything on it. Seagram's put that one out years ago. Wasn't bad tasting either. Pretty tasty.
Might go good on a Saturday night. The radio sounds good, audio is good, and hopefully you have enough winking and blinking lights there to keep you happy.
Oh yeah, when I key up, 2 red ones come on, and the orange one goes off. And as I unkey, the orange one comes back on as of now.
Working the way it should. The Courier Royale Radio 13, that has 11 tubes. A service manual is available if you go to oldtuberadio.com. As we've mentioned before, of note, the Collins 6 kilohertz mechanical filter, helping you out there on your receive side, I do believe. Information, if you've got Sam's PhotoFax 14, can run 12-volt DC with the proper cables, but doing a good job at 117-volt AC here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Give us another transmission on Radio 13. Thanks for bringing it by.
You betcha, Dennis. And I've got one more to go, and then that'll be my last one, so I'm going to leave this in here and go to that one.
All right, the Old Tube Radio Network. Was there a breaking station OTR is listening? 20. Hello, 20. You are, well, if you're 100 milliwatts, I hear you now.
I'm not going to try that. Hey, I can try it. Come on. Here we go. Come on. Down back.
All right, yeah, I'm almost just barely hearing you on whatever power output you got now. You are not moving the S meter, meaning that you are within my noise floor, but you have enough audio to break through things. So yeah, let's keep it at 1,000 milliwatts or better, and we'll see if we can't get you logged in with our 14th radio of the evening here. Over.
Okay, this is the Lafayette. 444 /25, not the 25 feet. And this one does have that 100 milliwatt switch. standard on the back. And I have to put my antenna up higher. It does have a ring switch, though.
All right, and let me make sure I've got it correct. It's a Lafayette HB 444, and I did see that there was a couple of different designations, 25, 25A, and 25B. This is the 25A, over.
That is 25B, the B model.
Okay, well, maybe I'll have a shot of that. I clicked onto the info for the 4425A by mistake. So back to again, you are a little weak on the signal, but I am hearing you. So we will continue. And another Lafayette. So that's a good thing. Let me see if the no, I don't have a rig available for that. It's showing 1967, and it's 12 tubes, and it has all sorts of controls. Back to you.
The 25A and B and the 444 by itself all look the same in the front, with the exception of the 444 just says 444, and the 25A slash 25A or 25B. The difference between the A and B seems to be the two complementing sides. Well, two, but 3 or 4 of them are different.
All right. On the radio there, do you have a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to say 5 knobs across the bottom and some type of a switch down there, over?
Roger. Yeah. And above it, where you see the description of the knob, that's a light green with light bar, fluorescent light bar. And that's kind of, the reason I picked this one up, even though it doesn't work out well, is it was the second actual real PC-based radio I ever had. I did trade it away a long time ago, but this was a special one. It does have a ring switch, which hopefully will work. No, over. Okay, does it work?
Try it again. I was hoping I would hear a little bit more extra audio or something coming through. Again, your signal is pretty low. For those watching the video, what you're seeing, the shot you're seeing is a HB44425A. I will put up a 25B, but I wanted to get something up there. Try the range boost again, over.
Okay. This is range boost off, and this is range boost on. Any difference?
Boy, I don't hear a bit of difference. Again, you're down in my noise a little bit, but I would think typically I would hear some difference, over.
Okay, let me see up again. I hear a difference here. Okay, it's off right now, and then it's on right there. Now, the microphone that came with it got moved terrible. So I've got a pure magnetic cartridge pipe, those silicon colors, electric magnetic cartridges. I just put a G104 on it. I just didn't have time.
All right, you know what I did is I opened my RF gain a little bit. I had it cranked way up because of the storm. And I think what's happening, you were in my RF gain kind of AGC thing going on, and I noticed a little bit of difference that time, mainly in the tone quality. So I think the issue was on my end, maybe attenuating you out. So I've opened the RF gain a little bit, and that did help. Do have a picture now of the HB 44425B. That's a nice little radio. That's a very, it looks like top-of-the-line radio with all the knobs and things on there. I'm trying to find from the picture where they actually give you the model number. I guess it's in the little diamond Lafayette logo underneath the S meter. Because I can't actually confirm from that picture that's what it is. I just have to go by what they say it is. We'll go back to you. I'm going to adjust, as you're talking, I'm going to adjust my RF gain here to get you in a little bit better. Over. Okay, this sounds good. If someone's able to expand the picture that we're showing, they would probably see that. It's just picture isn't real large, and then it's of course small print, and we're not seeing the back. Yeah, you definitely have to stay in that microphone. You're basically in my noise, and I've adjusted the RF control the best possible. So I'm thinking that you might only be at 1,000 milliwatts with that. You probably put it on the watt meter, but I'd be surprised if it's got much more than a watt or two coming out. But you mentioned that there is the switch for the 100 milliwatts. And a couple of the Lafayette radios did that too. You could switch to that and you would be basically able to operate it without the FCC license, because that was the maximum amount of power you could run unlicensed. So I always thought that was a pretty cool feature, that you could buy that radio and not have your license yet, but still operate it without fear of the FCC knocking on your door, I suppose. And they would know you're at 100 milliwatts, no doubt. I think that's a good find. That's actually a pretty radio. It's not one that I've really seen that much before. I'm familiar with a 25A, but I like the colorful S meter and all the knobs. It's very well laid out, and hopefully it sounds good on the receive too.
Took my chances. I had to play with it a little bit. I haven't tuned it up here, and I do have this not so good microphone on it, but it's the best I can do. Short notice, I think. Anyway, don't forget over Bill's place, lots of radio. Anyway, I'm going to check one more in.
Okay, and some more note on the Lafayette HB44425B, the radio that Harvey has, the radio that you're listening to, and the photo that you're seeing. Apparently very rare. Rumor has it that Lafayette wanted to produce about 2,500 of those, but only produced about 500. 500 actually made it to the stores. And it was another item of note, and maybe you know this, Harvey, already, I'm sure, that it was a 25-channel radio. It had channels 22A and 22B. Typically, when you had the extra channel, it was 22A. It was the 10 KC above 22 RC channel. So they must have had the crystal configuration so that both what is now channels 24 and 25 showed up as 22A and 22B. And because of that, rumor also has it that the FCC stepped in and stopped sale of the radio because of the possibly because of the extra channels. But that could be open to interpretation. I'm not sure I can verify that claim, but the 25B clearly different than the 25A, and a very rare radio, but that is not uncommon to hear the rare ones here at the Old Tube Radio Network. So get up there on channels 24 and 25 and give them heck, Harvey.
37.
Yes, 25 channel radio. Also, the difference between this one and the 25A could be the crystal frequency. I'll have to check that. But the main difference is with the crystal 25A, HB444 25A has them soldered in all around the channel selector. This one has them on top, all plugged in, similar to the Comstat 25B, where they're plugged in. So I do have to get a crystal for channels 1, 5, etc. To back out, but they'll plug in, so it's like a piece of data. And the 25 and the A and B channels do not show up in between 22 and 23 as with some radios. They show up A and B after 23 and in between 23 and back to 1. So that's an oddball thing here too.
Yeah, I'm showing that there was between the 25A and 25B, there were some issues with the crystal banks, which allowed you to unplug and mix and match crystals. Sounds like it's running a synthesized version like my Regency Imperial. So when you lose one of those multiplier crystal blocks, you're going to lose 4 channels in succession, like you said, 1, 5, 9, something like that. Unfortunately, that's why my channel 11 doesn't work on the realistic. An interesting radio, the HB444 25A and 25B, a little bit different between the two. Sounds like the 25B is definitely the rare one to have. It's got the 100 milliwatt switch and some other items as well. So good. We will hear more from that. I wish I could hear it a little bit better. Wish my antenna was higher because it's down in the noise, but definitely love the rare items here. We have a breaking station, so I'm going to go back to you, Harvey, for any more comments on that radio, and then we will pick up Chris with Radio 15.
Okay. I guess I could do this.
You could. I noticed you've got the Harvey range boost going.
Yeah. I didn't think about it until you mentioned it. Yeah, I guess I could do this. That's with the range boost on, or the radios. And that's with the range boost off, range boost off, range boost on. Anyway, yeah. Get me that radio model of Realistic, and channel 11's out. Let me know what else is out besides 11. Is it 9, 10, 11, 12, or the odd one? So let me know, and I'll get you a crystal before Bill gets rid of all the crystals.
Okay, it's a Regency Imperial, so any of the range gain, any of the Regency range gain or range gain 2, they all have the same configuration. So it's one that runs, I think, 11, 14, 9. I'll figure it out. It's one of the multipliers. I think there's 13 that make the total thing, and one of them, actually a lot of them are out, but the main one would be 11. I used to have to put aluminum foil around the crystal cage and keep the thing warm, and that would work, but it may be some other things. We'll talk about that, because that would be a good radio to get back on. By the way, I'm glad you took another transmission, because our SWLs who've been listening have been putting up with my poor receiver, and your range boost helped so that we could, not only could we hear the great audio, you are out of the noise level. I'm seeing forward modulation, and yes, we do hear the difference between the range boost off and on now. So very nice. The radio is sounding good. The Lofthead HB44425B. So if you got another radio, we'll come back to you for that. Let me get Chris in and out, because I think this may be his last radio, and he's probably holding up the parade over there. So, Chris, thanks for hanging in, and you are Radio 15 with your next transmission, over.
Okay, well, one question first. Is Bill closing up shop or something over there, or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I did not know that. Well, what's everybody going to do?
Well, he's moving to Wyoming. It's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah, well, maybe I say hi to my sister and brother-in-law while he's there.
Well, there you go.
All right, well, I want to check this radio in. God, what we could do? We got to find some... Barb, you got to buy up all those radios and all of his electronics and stuff for tube radios. Anyway, I would like to check in my radio here, my last one. This is my Chris 23 Plus CB transceiver, 23-channel tube that glows in the dark, and we are running this in here with the original handheld stock microphone. Over.
KRIS, Chris, sounding good, and yeah, that's the words that a lot of us are saying. It's like, what are we going to be doing? It'll be hard to say because the shop has been around for a long time, and the shop is a main reason that the Old Tube Radio Network here has been around a long time, keeping the radios running and keeping people up to date on accessories and things of that nature. So, as always, we wish Bill and his family well in his adventure. But we still ask the question, what are we going to do? Radio 15 online, over to you for another transmission on the Chris 23 Plus.
All right, and also, if he's listening, Bill, it snows a lot there in Wyoming. My sister lives in Cheyenne. My brother lives in Idaho, right next door to it and everything. It snows in both places a lot. And then, of course, Ray lives just right below, right there in Utah. So you're going to cold country. I have pity for you. I hope you like it, but I'm staying in California.
He's moving to Cheyenne.
That's where my sister lives at. I just talked to her here the other day, and it was snowing.
Yeah, he just got back about a week ago from checking the place out. Okay, let you do your radio. I'll be back after a while.
I already did it.
Yeah, it's a Radio 15, the Chris 23 Plus, and if anybody would be able to work the Short Skip DX, which we are going to have in a couple of years from that area, it will be Mr. Bill and his setup. So hopefully he's taken a few rigs that will make the grade. Plus, he is a licensed amateur radio, so we hope to be checking with him on some of the other frequencies. Maybe when we get that 10-meter AM thing going, we'll have a big powwow up there. All right, thank you, Chris. And I know we are running overtime here, so we'll keep it moving. But I want to say thanks to all those who are staying up really late with us tonight over at oldtuberadio.net. SWL20, hello, Harvey. Let's go over to you because I think you have found the coaxial connector on another radio.
I have to grab the right microphone. Okay. Yeah, this one you should be able to hear. The Browning Golden Beagle from Browning Laboratories.
The Golden Eagle, notice he didn't say Mark 1 or Mark 2 or Mark 3 SSB because this is the original Browning Golden Eagle. The Mark 1, although we don't call it that, but it's the R68, that's the receiver. The T68 was the transmitter that went with it. And what do you think, Harvey? 1968, 69, somewhere for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one's got the D104 with the Browning medallion on the back of the microphone. One of my favorite radios. And I'll cut it off at that. I got the book on the, I think you said Regency Imperial, is that correct?
The Regency Imperial, just like the Regency Range Gain 2, the synthesized block of 13, the Channel 11 is out. A lot of them are out, but the Channel 11 block, which I think includes like 8 or 7, 11, 14, something like that. That one is has been out for a while. The radio's been off for a while, so we'll have to probably bring it up slowly and do some cap changes on that. But that was my first tube radio back in 1971, 72, and the original one that we used to check in on Channel 11 back in the day. I may have a range gain parts radio around here somewhere, but I don't know if your crystals are any good. But yeah, it's the Imperial, over.
Got 3 or 4 parts radios over there still, so get it to the shop as soon as possible before the parts radios go bye-bye. I'm going to talk to Bill about, keeping and storing certain radios for parts in case somebody needs something. And then, hopefully we'll have it and they won't have to do the eBay route. But I've got the book, and while you're finalizing things, I'll look it up and see what it is. I believe they're soldering crystals. If you said that you have to keep the radio warm or this or that to get it to work, the way they soldered the crystals in wasn't the world's greatest. It could be just cold solder.
Yeah, because they all started going at some point. And what would happen is, if you left the radio on for a couple of hours, they would slowly come up. The receive would slowly come up, but it wouldn't be good enough for the transmit. So that does sound like it could be a possibility, and the crystals are in that caged area down in the radio. So might be worth a check. I don't recall how it was. It's been a long time since I run it. I don't recall how it was transmit frequency-wise. And I think I took an old Heathkit VFO one time. It's like 7 megahertz. One of the multipliers in there is like 7.3 or 7.5. And I swapped out the 7.5 Heathkit VFO and actually was able to run it that way. But it's not the best way to do things. Wasn't quite kosher, as they say. You sound good on Radio 16, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. Thanks for that.
Hey, Roger. And next week I'll have another Browning radio of interest. Your crystal is either the 10.950 kilocycles. That'll do 9, 10, 11, and 12. Or it's the 8.635 that does 3, 7, 11, 15, and 19. So it's one of the two, or it could be both. Since I have the book, and there's a book down there at the shop, I will look for those crystals. We have a big drawer of 10s and 8s. I think 8s. I know 10s. Anyway, so I'll check it out and see if I can come up with a new one or a newer one. If not, we've got the parts radios, and hopefully I'll pull it out of that. And I have a crystal tester, so should be able to test the crystal to get one that's as close to frequency as possible. So hopefully you can bring it in fairly soon. And Bill has a whole bunch of radios over there, tube radios, a whole bunch of Brownings, and several others of the Robin type radios. I think a 123 and a 123B are both there. And I think someone has a Tram D201 or D201A for sale there too. So anyway, check it out. And anybody that's listening on the internet, etc., just call the shop, Red Monkey Communications in Fresno. Ask for Bill or Mark, I guess, and they'll tell you what's there. And I believe it's, if they're on eBay, it's what he's listed or best offer. So just offer. See what you come up with there. Okay, back to you, Dennis. Thank you.
Trying to find the foot switch. Thanks, Harvey. Yeah, I do believe it is the 8 meg crystal because it loses the spaced block. And I remember when 11 would be out, 10 would be okay. So it's the jump blocks like 5, 11, 15, 19 for sure, and probably a few others. So that's good. And I'll have to see if I can find my range gain parts radio as well. The double sideband suppressed carrier can do quite decent on AM. I remember the receives on those was a little bit narrow because it was set up for sideband. All right, let me do a last call for any radios while we're counting and mounting here before we sign out. Of course, the jingle singers always like to do this song.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Also want to wave a hand to Butterbean, of course, Northeast Georgia, on the old Dell computer. I think he mentioned there's probably a tube or two in that old Dell. So what's the best way to listen to the Old Tube Radio network is on your Old Tube Radio computer. Thanks to all those who are still hanging out there in Iowa, Florida. Ellis, Georgia's still with us. New York. It's hard to keep the New York gang down. They'll hang out with you till 5 in the morning if that's what it takes. Utah's still in. Oh, hello, Ohio. Rialto, California. Hopefully the winds are not too bad out that way. Somerville, South Carolina. Maryland is still in here. The Old Tube Radio Network doing this every Saturday. Most Saturdays. 51 and a half Saturdays out of the year when we can, checking in with the radios and doing what you're doing. This is pretty much like it was, keying up the radio back when they were brand new, having a good time, and keeping them alive. It's fun. Like a lot of us who wanted those radios back in 1964 finally found them and can, operate them now, even though we might not have been able to do so. So it gives it forum for that. Counting and amounting, we are looking at, I'll be right back. I'm going to get this online here. All right, we are back, and let's do this the right way for counting and amounting.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
Time now at 20 minutes after 10 o'clock West Coast time. What is that, UTC, about 6:20? Or is it 6:29? The clock has kind of fallen behind all the cables back there. Oh, I can see. Okay, it is 10:28. I misspoke. I guess I could always tune the receiver to WWV and patch that through, but we'll keep it going here. SWL tonight. We're on the first week of our new 8-week roster. SWL, who's our 00? It's Ray, right? 44. Let me mark him down there. Got chosen out of the mix because of his perfect attendance. Thanks, Ray, for getting us started off, and your check's in the mail for 00. You're going to be looking for a long time for that check, let me tell you. 9 check-ins on page 1, 15 on page 2, 13 on page 3, 15 on page 4, for a total of 52. And radios tonight, we did pretty good considering a lot of you may have had your coax disconnected at some point today as we had the big storm go through, but thanks for patching up. 16 radios tonight, and the most heard, it was sort of in the works as we started out with all those Robin radios, 4 Robins tonight, and a couple of Lafayettes were good too. Let's go over what we did. Robin T123, the radio from Paul enjoying its workings. It sounded good. Hope you can hear it on the archives. If I didn't mention, we archived the audio from what we did tonight. You can go to oldtuberadio.net, click on the archive button, and look for the date and whether it's an SWL radio check-in, and your media player of choice will be able to hear exactly as we heard here out of the radio, receive radio, your audio reception. Give yourself a radio check, and we do keep the videos up for a couple of weeks if you want to do it that way. Radio number 2 was the Robin T123, also with a magic eye from Mr. Ed. He followed that with his Tram TR27E for Radio 3. Radio 4 was the second in the trilogy from Paul on the Robins tonight, his T123 Bravo. Radio 5 was Ed on the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, followed by the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A from Chris for Radio 6. Radio 7, SWL7 on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. We followed that with number 3 in the Robin trilogy from Paul, the T240D, sounding very good, Paul. Thanks for Radio 8. Radio 9, Chris on his Helicopter CB3A. We followed that with the very loud radio from Jerry, the Mark III SSB, Browning Golden Eagle, one of the 2 that we had tonight. Chris on his Gem Marine Products G-Power Mate was Radio 11. Radio 12 was the Lafayette Comstat 25B, just the straight Lafayette Comstat 25B from Mark, the nice modern-looking one, because we had a different kind of version of a 25B coming up. The Courier Royale from Chris, Radio 13, Radio 14, the Lafayette HB444/25B. I don't know if that had anything to do with the Comstat series or not, but sounded good. When he put the Harvey range, it sounded good either way, but when he had the range boost on there, was able to actually hear what it can do. So that's a promising radio, neat-looking radio. The Chris 23 Flush, Radio 15 from Chris, and then Harvey on his Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, doing good. Thanks to everybody who stopped by tonight, whether you were listening from afar at oldtuberadio.net, watching the YouTube video, or right here at 27085. Always appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday evening to give us a call and keep the static level down by giving us a transmission. We will do this again next Saturday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, the Old Tube Radio Network. oldtuberadio.com website is up all the time. The Facebook page, Old Tube Radio Network, for your posts. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodex for keeping the Nixie tubes running. There are a lot of great sites, Facebook sites that do the old radios, the vintage classic radios. Go to those for more information. And if you can, try an old radio night or just a get-on-the-air night wherever you're at. It's a lot of fun, and it will keep these radios on the air. Keep the frequencies busy. We don't want to lose these frequencies to some business service, right? We still want to be able to participate, keying up the old radio. 73, everybody. We will catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Good night, Dennis.
Good night to one and all from SWL number 7. Great night, Dennis.
How's your noise level over there? Mine is pretty darn good.
A lot better now. Hey, Dennis?
This is the Basic Dennis.
There's a Buddy Bass down there, too.
Yeah, I like I said, I had planned to be out there, and then something came up right at the last minute that just, it took forever, so I didn't make it. All right, hang on, I might give you a call. The Old Tube Radio Network.
All right, good night. Turning everything off. Bye.
And we'll catch you on the video next time, the Old Tube Radio Network, 73.